Right, day 9. Day 9. Stream take 2. Internet connection dropped last time, so who cares? Talking about aiming and my thoughts on aiming for fun. So I've moved from controller to mouse and keyboard about two odd months ago, and how am I improving this, and how am I trying to get better, right? Because kind of dropping in and knowing the game is one thing, but there's kind of two real components to shooting games, right? You need to be able to aim, and you need to be able to move, right? And one of the ways I've been training aim is with this tool, Aim Lab, and I find it really, really useful. It's really great for training the mechanics of how to go left, right, up, down, da, 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 or whatever it might be, right? So, uh, this is my little warm up before I drop into Apex. This is how I kind of play it, and this is what my thoughts are as I'm going. So, Aim Lab, this is Grid Shot. If you've seen it before, it's really fun. It's really easy. Uh, hey, 72. So that's okay, right? I was watching players like Albert Ellie and ACU and stuff like that, and they're all up around the 90s, 100s, 110s. So for me, sitting in the silver and recently just gone gold lobbies in Apex on PC, 70 is okay for me. I'll deal with that. It's clear where I need to go. And the thing I like about this is it gives you kind of insights. You can see upper screen weaknesses, something there for me to think about. So that's Grid Shot. That's the first thing. You do a couple of minutes of that. Play that for a little bit. The other one I really like to do is this tracking one, motion track. Because again, there's two kind of components of aiming, right? There's actually flicking and targeting and aiming, and then there's tracking people through things, right? And this is really nice and for training flicking and for tracking, right? So you hit the center target, track the target, and then flick back to the center. I always try to just flick and shoot it. If I miss it, it's fine. I don't really care. But I'm getting free kind of flick training. Oh, that's bad. And that's bad as well. So for me, I know tracking and flicking are not like necessarily my highest things. They're quick, but not always. Not always the best on tracking. In fact, pretty brutal at tracking, to be honest with you. But like I said, I don't pretend to be this pro gamer that's gonna blitz lobbies by myself. I'm just out playing for a bit of fun and trying to get better each day. That's all I can do. And I think I'm more representative of the 99% of players than the 1% of top players that are out there, you know. So I'll do one more of them just to sort of have a go of it, and then there's two other games I play in Aim Lab. But this is my warm up, and the whole thing takes about 20 minutes to do, give or take. Hey, slow. See that? Oh, bad. so not bad. Not bad. Again, average on time is here, so if you say, it'll probably say poor tracking. Yeah. So this, and it recommends games you can play to fix that, right? But I'm not going to go through much in detail on that one. So there's straight. There's one other game I like to play on this one. Well, there's two. There's Spider Shot, which is cool. You just flick. The other one is Reflex Shot, where it changes and you have to track to every time. It's good for flicking. So is that. The other one is this in this sandbox misc. This pentakill. I really like this because you get 5 shots, 5 targets, and you have to hit all of them. I just do one round if it's only a minute. I usually play a couple of rounds of each of these and then go from there. So this is a nice one just because it forces you to see all the targets, pick the pattern quickly, and hit all of them. Maybe not super representative of Apex because you don't really get that sort of scenario, but really good for perception, really good for reaction time, I think. You can kind of see the patterns repeat, but it's still useful, right? Ah! Last one, really? Anyway, doesn't matter. That's that one. Yay, high score. Again, it's just fun for training, kind of reaction time, right? Just fun for training reaction. So, and you can see, I like the way it breaks down. They can sort of go by tasks. So this is great for training the kind of mechanics of aiming, right? Tracking, shooting, flicking, switching. But it's all very much standing still, and you're not really going anywhere, and it misses the kind of movement aspect. Now, there is tasks that you can get, like, you know, that will have robots shooting back at you or whatever. But I think it's okay. It's okay for that point of view. But this is really good for learning that, like, coming from controller to mouse and keyboard. This really helped me. Definitely really helped me. So let's fire up Apex and take the second level of this kind of warm up for me. So after playing aim lab, doing a bit of grid shot, doing a bit of motion track, a bit of reflex shot or whatever it is, and a bit of the other one, pentakill. Hop into Apex and finish off the warm up, because that warm up is very generic. And it's good to get the hands going, but it's not representative of actual, you know, Apex Legends or Valorant or CS:GO or Fortnite or whatever game you're playing, right? It's not the same, right? So you have to actually go and play the game that you're going to play. And even now, the next bit isn't really what am I going to say? Isn't really representative of actual Apex fights or Apex matches, but it gets you moving at least a little bit more, right? So I said at the start, the kind of components that I think about when I think about aiming are movement and, you know, aiming, right? These are the kind of key components to an FPS, right? So whereas before we were just standing still, going bang, 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 or whatever it is, bang, bang, bang. And the same way, these targets, I don't like hitting these targets too much because they're huge, and none of the targets are actually that big in Apex, right? Whereas this guy is actual sort of reflective, right? So, I mean, now we're training the recoil patterns of the guns, so we want to try and one-clip these guys. We want to try and one-clip the dummy with a couple of guns at different levels, right? So there's this line here. We move back to the next line, and this I found someone else's channel doing this, and you can see my R9 is not the best recoil. But again, it's a no attachment thing, and you can see the further I get away, the less I can get with this gun. So the idea would be to hit this a couple of times, just one clip the dummy, move back along those lines as far as you want, at least trying to clip it. So you learn the patterns for the different guns, right? Wow, brutal. Once that's done, I like to play from here and then just practice, you know, like right strafe. Again, trying to clip the dummy. That's the thing with this R99. It's the most unforgiving gun if you mess up. So practice just the right strafe. And always bringing the dummy back to full health to try and clip him in one. Right strafe, and similarly, you know, left strafe too, right? And then and you know, moving back as we in the same way we did with these lines, we'll move back and we'll just try and put as much on that dummy as possible, try and one clip him. It's just that last little bit of recoil control that's letting me down in this gun. So again, we do right, left, da 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 da. And I do this sort of last one as well with this, is to go here and to practice that right, left strafe, right? And again, going back. And that was crap. And the more you kind of learn the recoil patterns of the guns, the sort of more you'll have, the more success you have with it, I suppose. The easier it becomes. Like this one for me, the Volt is a nice one. There's hardly any recoil. And another one, sorry, something else I've started doing as well is instead of just clipping the guys in front of you, clipping this guy and trying to clip the guy at the back as best we can, right? That's another way to do it. But again, all of this sort of stuff is fine, but it's static target, right? So it's not reflective of the game. And I know you can turn the bots on in this game or whatever, but I don't think so. If you want to play with your favorite sight, it's not a problem. For me, it's been this. So one of the things that I sort of want to finish up on this is moving, right? So what I'll sort of do now is just kind of float around, try and hit shots that way, you know, because now it's more representative of trying to actually play see, and then swapping, and whatever gun you end on, you kind of keep. This kind of thing, and I do this for sort of 3, maybe 4 guns. I don't know. It seems to be fat finger the keyboard, and this is the kind of idea that I have for warm-up stuff. So yeah, it's just a little idea, because now it's slightly more representative. You have movement, you know, and I can see straight away that the gaps in my knowledge and in my abilities are there, right? When I'm moving, when I'm under pressure to change weapon, I know these are things that are going to let me down in real fights, right?
How about a wee pick-me-up?
These kind of things, right? So just trying to play on the dummies, but always moving, not stopping. So that's 2 whole clips gone into that dummy not killed. Which tells me an awful lot about where I need to be with my aim. Right, it's just a little bit rushed. What I'm also getting for free for this is I'm learning how to toggle weapons quickly. Loot ammo. These kind of things. Now, these sort of skills are rudimentary, right? That's what this is for, right? This is rudimentary play. I'm not pretending like I'm this genius player that's going to go out and get signed.
How about a wee pick-me-up?
Some pro organization, you know. I'm just playing, trying to improve. And I think this is helping me. I could be wrong, right? Like, really, the goal should be to one clip these dummies. And again, it's still, while we're moving, it's not representative because the dummies aren't moving. So, yeah, little tips, little ideas to play with, see if it works for you. You know. And suddenly you become less hung up on learning recoil patterns inside out and more about being accurate. You know, and now we're playing the second level of movement and aiming, right? Brutal. But it's okay, right? Because, I mean, you can stand here all day and just kind of go clip dummies till you're blue in the face, but then you go out into the game and you won't do that, right? Because they won't be there. They won't be standing still. So that's kind of the idea, and it's nice. I think this is useful for people. At least I find it useful to be showing that, you know, it's not like I'm not at that superstar aimbot level yet. So it's nice to see the sort of progress, right? Reload, swap, reload. And that's that. So there's the idea. Yep, that's the idea. Do it with 4 guns that you like. 1 clip the dummy static, and then try and do it with movement as well. On the lines. So that's those guns, and then I take flatline and I take 301 as well. I'm really starting to love that flatline because it's so it does so much damage. You don't really have to be, it's slow, but it's fun. It definitely needs a scope. I find it very hard to hit anything without a scope on it. So the flatline we know pulls this way, this way, this way, and then down again, right? So if we wanted to keep it roughly centered, so that means when we know it pulls this way, that means we can push this way to kind of counter that and just pull down. And that'll start. That'll take care of the first part. So this is a strafe pattern here. It's kind of really nice, right? It's just right on the. So it's D and down. Left. Because it circles back. Because it's so the pattern looks like this. Right. It's like the lightning bolt, so up and to the left, hard right, so pulling, it's that, and then that. So the counteraction to that is something like that, right? But when we strafe, we don't stand still, right? So when we strafe, we change that again. You can see this, the spread is much wider there for me because I don't have the pattern control as nice as I'd like on that flat line. It's still close enough, because that's a Gibby, he's probably dead, right? But or no, he's probably not dead because he has a billion HP, but you know, it's you know, I mean, you don't really need a thing about you don't really need an extended mag on the flat. You can just kind of clip them, but like you notice the strafe speed is quite slow, right? So you don't get out of the way very quickly. So it makes you nearly need to crouch spam with the flat line. But now this is me going right for you. There's nothing to say you can't go. You know. So that's what I mean about it being forgiving, right? Even though I missed a few shots, I still one clip. Like if that was the R99, you'd be in bits. Because it's not forgiving. The R99 is a super fast weapon, but it's bad. It's not forgiving, right? And again, this is fine because the dummies are standing still, right? So, you know, how do you track that pattern when they're not standing still? You know? Like, I don't like shooting these targets because they're not huge. Like, I mean, there's no target in Apex that's that size, the back wall. Sitting there and putting 300 odd on that wall makes sort of no difference. Because this guy, when he's over there,
let's shift our orbits that way,
is probably the size of that yellow dot. You know, and I don't see it hitting that way, right? In the same way, I can kind of put more on it with this, or with this one here. You know. Anyway, it is what it is, right? So that's one of the ways I like to play this. If I was doing this as well, it's nice because I get this change weapon mechanic. So like one of the run-up loadouts that I'm running a lot now is Hemlock and Volt. Hemlock is just like, it's definitely getting nerfed. It's definitely, you know. But I use that as my kind of, backup or a long range. So if I get into a fight where if I get into a scrap with the Volt where I don't hit every shot and it's close, having that secondary weapon and having the ability to switch to it fast is another use. You know, straight away. And that's another side of this that I like to practice, right? Is this mechanics of swapping weapon quickly. which didn't happen there. If you one clip, great. If you don't. Anyway, there's some ideas to play with, and again, it's just to get moving, right? So that's my thoughts on warm-ups for shooters. About being going from being kind of very skill specific in the sense that aiming, flicking, moving, tracking, to being a little bit more game specific, recoil patterns being static, controlling with weapons moving, then weapon swapping while moving and fighting, and again it's still static dummy, so it's still in the range and it's still not exactly representative of a game, but with any luck it'll translate a little bit more. Like, instead of just standing in the range and learning the recoil patterns of everything standing still, and, I think you want to be more representative with your training.